So this happened to me a few years ago, and I still get freaked out thinking about it. I was 17 at the time, and my parents had gone out for a dinner party. They told me they'd be back late, so I was pretty much home alone for the whole evening. I wasn't too worried, though. I had some homework to finish and figured I'd just watch TV until they got back. I was sitting in the living room, minding my own business, and I heard a knock on the window. It wasn't super loud, but it was enough to get my attention. I figured it was just one of the neighbors, maybe their kid messing around. So I got up and went to check it out. When I looked out the window, there was no one there. It was pitch dark outside, and all I could see was the reflection of the living room lights on the glass. I shrugged it off, thinking maybe it was just the wind or something. But as soon as I sat back down, the knock came again, a little louder this time. I went back to the window, but again, nothing. Now, I was starting to get a little creeped out. I decided to turn off the lights in the living room, hoping I could see outside better without the glare. I stood there for a few minutes, just staring out into the darkness, trying to see if there was anyone there. But it was completely quiet. No movement, no sounds, nothing. I was about to turn the lights back on when I heard the knock again. This time, it wasn't just a knock, it was a full-on bang, like someone was hitting the window with their fist. I jumped back, my heart racing. I could feel the adrenaline pumping through my veins. I didn't know what to do, so I grabbed my phone and called my dad. I tried to stay calm, but I could hear the fear in my own voice. I told him what was happening, and he said he'd be home as soon as possible. He told me to lock all the doors and windows and to stay inside until they got back. I did as he said, double-checking every lock in the house. I even went upstairs to my room and locked myself in, just to be safe. I sat on my bed, phone in hand, waiting for my parents to get home. The banging didn't stop. It moved from the living room window to the kitchen window, then to the back door. It was like someone was circling the house, trying to get in. Freaking out, I didn't want to leave my room. After what felt like an eternity, I heard my parents' car pull up in the driveway. The banging stopped instantly and everything went silent. I ran downstairs to meet them, almost in tears. My dad checked around the house, but there was no sign of anyone. No footprints, no damage to the windows. Nothing. To this day, I have no idea who or what was outside my house that night. But every time I'm home alone, I can't help but think about those knocks and wonder if it will happen again. I've never really been a believer in the paranormal, but this experience made me question everything. It happened when I was 16, and my parents had left me alone for the weekend. They were visiting my grandparents in another state, and I didn't want to go, so I stayed home by myself. I remember it was a Saturday night, and I was just chilling in my room, watching YouTube videos. It was pretty late, probably around 1 or 2 a.m. The house was super quiet, and I had my headphones on, so I didn't hear much of anything outside of what I was watching. But then, out of nowhere, I thought I heard something. It was faint, like a whisper, but it was enough to make me take my headphones off and listen. At first, I thought maybe it was just the wind or some kind of noise from outside, but as I listened more closely, I realized it was coming from inside the house. I could hear what sounded like a voice, very low and almost muffled. It was coming from the hallway, right outside my bedroom door. My heart started pounding, and I felt a chill run down my spine. I told myself it was just my imagination. The voice didn't stop. I strained my ears to hear what it was saying, but it was too quiet. It just sounded like a soft murmur, like someone was having a conversation, but I couldn't make out any words. I sat there for a few minutes, completely frozen, just listening. Finally, I decided to get up and check it out. I grabbed my phone and slowly opened my bedroom door. The hallway was dark, and I couldn't see anything. But the voice was still there, just a little louder now. It was like it was coming from the far end of the hallway, near the stairs. I stood there trying to figure out what to do. I didn't want to go down the hallway, but I also didn't want to stay in my room, knowing something might be out there. So, I took a deep breath and walked slowly down the hall, my heart racing with every step. As I got closer to the stairs, the voice stopped. Just like that, it was gone. The silence was deafening, and I could feel my hands shaking. I stood there for a moment, waiting to see if it would start again, but it didn't. I checked the entire house, every room, every closet. There was nothing. No sign of anyone, no explanation for the voice. I ended up sleeping with the lights on that night, but I didn't get much sleep. Every little noise made me jump, and I kept expecting to hear that voice again. When my parents got home the next day, I told them what happened, but they just brushed it off, saying it was probably just my imagination. I know what I heard. It was real, and it scared the hell out of me. This happened when I was 18 and staying home alone for the first time since moving out for college. My parents were out of town, and I had come back home for the weekend to take care of the house and our dog, Max. I was excited to have the place to myself, just me and Max, chilling and relaxing. It was around 10 p.m. when I let Max out into the backyard to do his business. I was standing by the back door, scrolling through my phone, not really paying attention. The backyard was fenced in, so I wasn't worried about him wandering off or anything. Then Max started barking. It wasn't his usual bark. It was more aggressive, like he was trying to warn me about something. I looked up from my phone and saw him standing at the far end of the yard, facing the woods behind our house. His fur was standing on end and he was growling low in his throat. I called out to him, but he didn't move. He just kept barking and growling. His eyes fixed on something in the trees. Couldn't see anything at first, then I noticed it. Dark shape moving just inside the tree line. It was hard to make out, but it looked like a person, just standing there, watching us. I felt my stomach drop, and my first instinct was to get Max inside. Called him again, more urgently this time, but he wouldn't budge. He just kept barking, his eyes locked on that shadowy figure. Finally, I ran out into the yard and grabbed him by the collar. I dragged him back towards the house, my heart pounding in my chest. The whole time I kept looking over my shoulder, half expecting that figure to start coming towards us. But it didn't move. I got Max inside and locked the door behind us. I was shaking so badly that I could barely hold onto my phone. I stood there, staring out the window, trying to see if the figure was still there. But the backyard was empty. Whatever it was had disappeared back into the woods. I didn't sleep at all that night. Kept all the lights on and stayed in the living room. Max curled up next to me. Every time he lifted his head or perked his ears, I felt a surge of panic, thinking that thing had come back. I never told my parents about what happened. I didn't want them to worry, and honestly, I wasn't even sure if they'd believe me. But I know what I saw, and I'm not going back to that house alone again.